Hello and welcome to this videocast for subscribers to davidicke.com. Well, I saw a film many years ago called Wag the Dog, 1997, in fact that's when it came out. And now they're producing a remake, but you can't see it in the cinemas, you can see it on the TV news every night. And they've renamed it, they've called it The War Against ISIS. And there's another version called Russia is a Danger to the World. And if you've not come across Wag the Dog, then when I tell you the plot, you'll realize what I mean. Wag the Dog starred Dustin Hoffman as a big Hollywood producer and Robert De Niro as the ultimate White House government spinner. And the basic plot was this. They were coming up to an election and the president had got caught with, it would seem, an underage girl. And so they needed to get that story off the front pages and out of public consciousness. So what they did was decide they were going to start a war against Albania, a war in Albania. And they decided on Albania because they reckoned that very, very few Americans would know where Albania was. And, you do see this phenomenon among quite a lot of Americans, certainly not all, but you can see on the internet where a television crew have gone around asking people with a map of the world where various countries are. And I remember one where the crew had actually put North Korea over Australia. And the person's there, he said, "Oh, how do you know it was there? Oh, that's interesting." Well, no, it's not there, it's Australia. But this is a really important area, because if we don't get informed even about where countries are, never mind the geopolitical, cultural background, then what's left but just to accept the lies about these countries and these situations from government? Anyway, they decided they were going to hire Dustin Hoffman, the big Hollywood producer, to produce all this, because they weren't actually going to have a war in Albania. They were going to have a war in a studio. And what they were going to do was produce footage which they were then going to give to the networks and the media to then replay to the public as if it was all true. Now, you've only got to look at what's happening today with all these ISIS videos just being regurgitated by the media on the basis that they're true and they reflect what's happening without any serious questioning. I mean, where do these videos come from? These, again, Hollywood kind of type videos, very highly sophisticated, well-made videos. Where do they actually come from? Who's actually behind them? These are the questions we have to ask. Because what happened in Wag the Dog is that they sent this footage to the media, who played it out, the public believed it, and now America's at war with Albania, and it's all in a studio. And there's some interesting dialogue in the film, which kind of is seriously relevant to what's happening today. The Robert De Niro character, was called Breen, the spinner, he said this: "We remember the slogans, we can't even remember the wars. You know why? That's show business. And that, to a very large extent, is what it is. That's why we're here," he said. "Naked girl covered in napalm, V for victory, 5 Marines raising the flag, Mount Suribachi. You remember the picture 50 years from now, but you'll have forgotten the war. The Gulf War, smart bomb falling down a chimney, 2,500 missions a day, 100 days. One video of one bomb," he said, Mr. Motz, the Hoffman character. "The American people bought that war. War is show business. That's why we're here." And there was another quote from Breen, the spinner, who said, "You watch the Gulf War. What do you see day after day? The one smart bomb falling down the chimney. The truth? I was in the building when we shot that shot. We shot it in a studio at Falls Church, Virginia, 1/10 scale model of a building. And the Hoffman character says, is that true? And the reply was, how the fuck do we know? You take my point. And the point is, how do we know? We're only just being told that that's what it is. And there's nothing more powerful, I've mentioned this before, there's nothing more powerful in manipulating perception than to show people some pictures and have a voiceover telling them what the pictures mean. If you watch pictures without voiceover, you can see things that you can't see if the voiceover is telling you what you're looking at. Very powerful. In Wag the Dog, not only did they make the war in a studio, they had a Willie Nelson character played by Willie Nelson. He made a war song. They had a what they call photogenic orphan to focus on, focus emotion on. I mean, just look at the wars that have been perpetuated around the world and see this recurring themes that Wag the Dog so brilliantly exposed. And then when it started to die down a bit and the media started to look back at the president and this scandal, and the war appeared to be ending, then they came up with this thing about this guy called Schumann. And Schumann was the story of a guy left behind in Albania. And they had this catch line, discarded like an old shoe. And so they then set up this rescue of Schumann. Am I describing things that have happened in not too distant past? They set up this rescue of Schumann, but Schumann turns out to be the guy they picked turns out to be a right, crazy. And anyway, the plane crashed, and the survivors were helped by a farmer. But this Schumann guy tries to rape the farmer's daughter, and the farmer kills him. So now they've got this hero Schumann being rescued from like behind enemy lines, but he's dead because the farmer killed him. And so what do? They then spin a story to the public that poor old Schumann has died of injuries sustained during the rescue. And they give him this big military funeral. And what happened in the film? The president was re-elected. And when the Hoffman character says, look, I'm not having this, I want some credit for this amazing thing that I've done, he died of a heart attack. And that's why I say Wag the Dog is being remade night after night on the television news, called War Against ISIS and Russia as a Threat to the World.